Two-time Finals MVP is joining the Spurs, and if you've been paying attention, the signs were all there. In a now-deleted tweet, Kevin Durant said sometimes the last chapter is the most honest one. And when he was finally asked about the move to the Spurs, KD didn't say much, but what he did say was enough.
This was a vital time in my life, an important time in my life, and I hold on to it dearly.
But here's the twist. What makes this deal wild isn't what everyone's saying. It's what no one has said yet. Let's break it down, because this runs deeper than most realize. The perfect storm. Why Durant must leave Phoenix. Kevin Durant is joining the Spurs, and to understand why this potential partnership has the entire basketball world buzzing, we need to look at the events that led up to this moment. The Phoenix Suns, Durant's current team, find themselves in a position that seemed unthinkable just 2 years ago when they acquired the superstar from Brooklyn. The evidence leans toward the Phoenix Suns trading Kevin Durant to the San Antonio Spurs, with social media reports providing detailed trade packages, and the writing appears to be on the wall. The Suns' situation is nothing short of catastrophic from a competitive standpoint. After finishing the 2024 to 2025 season with a 36-46 record and 11th in the Western Conference, the Suns have the highest payroll in NBA history, creating a perfect storm of financial constraints and on-court disappointment. This represents a dramatic fall from grace for a franchise that reached the NBA Finals just a few years ago and acquired Durant with championship aspirations.
Problem is, the Suns are only winning 46% of their games, 35-41, 11th place. So, Nick, what do you make of the waning days of Durant's tenure in Arizona?
Well, obviously it's a bummer if he's not even going to get a final moment there.
The numbers tell a sobering story. Durant is averaging an impressive 27.6 points per game while shooting 53% from the field, proving that his individual brilliance remains intact. However, individual excellence means little when it doesn't translate to team success. This will be the first time a healthy Kevin Durant missed the playoffs, a statistic that speaks volumes about the dysfunction surrounding him in Phoenix.
It'll be the first time a healthy Kevin Durant missed the playoffs. Prime Kevin Durant ain't missing the playoffs, especially with another star next to him. And so, I'm not saying don't go for him, because there's some teams I'd like to see him with. But understand, you're not getting the Kevin Durant that's going to lead you to the second round or conference finals or something like that.
The financial implications are equally damning. The Suns are projected to be $25 million over the second apron, which severely limits their flexibility under NBA salary cap rules. This situation has reportedly prompted the Suns to explore trade options for Durant, recognizing that they risk losing him for nothing in free agency if they don't act decisively. Durant's contract situation adds another layer of urgency to these discussions. He is entering into the last year of his contract worth $54.7 million for the 2025-26 season. If traded, he becomes eligible for a 2-year extension worth up to $122 million. But if he waits 6 months, he can sign for up to $124 million. This timing gives Durant significant leverage in determining his next destination.
You pair him alongside the Thompson twin with Şengün, Fred VanVleet, the Rockets looking to make some noise. That was the one thing that they were missing in this series, was a closer. And Kevin Durant provides that.
The psychological factors cannot be ignored either. Durant has experienced 3 major relocations since 2016, moving from Oklahoma City to Golden State, then to Brooklyn, and finally to Phoenix. Each move has been driven by his pursuit of championships and his desire to control his career trajectory. The Phoenix experiment was supposed to be Durant, a chance to team up with young star Devin Booker and veteran point guard Chris Paul, later traded for Bradley Beal, to create a championship-caliber roster. Instead, Durant has watched his team regress year after year. They reached the second round in his first year with the team, then the first round the following year, and now they won't even make the play-in tournament. This pattern of declining performance has undoubtedly influenced Durant's thinking about his future.
His tenure in Phoenix has been an epic fail, because when he went there, I actually thought they had a great chance to win the championship. Obviously, they had been close without him, got to the finals. Now, the Chris Paul trade for Bradley Beal ended up being a big mistake by them, but they have gotten worse every year.
The broader context of Durant's career adds weight to this potential move. At 36 years old, he's acutely aware that his championship window is closing rapidly. Durant has acknowledged thinking about retirement, particularly as younger players enter the league, but he's also stated that he doesn't see an end to his career right now. This creates a fascinating tension, a player still capable of elite performance but running out of time to achieve his ultimate goal. The Suns' organizational dysfunction extends beyond just the players on the roster. The team has struggled with coaching changes, roster construction, and chemistry issues that have plagued them throughout Durant's tenure. The addition of Bradley Beal, while talented, created a ball-dominant trio that never quite found the right balance. The supporting cast has been inadequate, particularly on the defensive end, where the team has consistently struggled to get stops when it matters most. ESPN's Brian Windhorst has been particularly vocal about Durant's likely departure, stating that he is 98% sure Durant will not be with the Suns next season. Such certainty from one of the league's most connected reporters suggests that the writing is on the wall for Durant's time in Phoenix. According to ESPN, sources revealed that Durant prefers to land with the Miami Heat, San Antonio Spurs, or Houston Rockets if traded. The inclusion of San Antonio on this list might surprise some observers, given that the Spurs are traditionally viewed as a young, developing team rather than a win-now contender. However, the presence of Victor Wembanyama changes everything. The 21-year-old French sensation has already established himself as a generational talent, combining elite shot-blocking ability with unprecedented offensive versatility for a player of his size.
Wemby, do you like the idea of Durant teaming up with Wemby?
So I'm very curious what Brew has to say, which is why I want to go first, because I don't want it to be colored, because this is Brew's guy.
Wembanyama's impact on the league has been immediate and profound. Standing 7 to 4 inches with a wingspan that seems to defy physics, he's already being compared to some of the greatest players in NBA history. His ability to protect the rim while also stepping out to guard the perimeter, combined with his developing offensive game, makes him the perfect complement to a veteran scorer like Durant. The mutual respect between Durant and Wembanyama is well documented. Durant has praised Wembanyama as a unique player who will carve out his own lane, while Wembanyama has cited Durant as a role model. This foundation of respect could prove crucial in making any potential partnership successful.
What's up, brother? How you doing? Extremely excited, just to come back here and play a game, a regular season game. I think I played a preseason game here before. But to play a regular season game where we need every one of these games, it should be fun.
The Spurs organization also offers something that Durant hasn't experienced in recent years: stability and a winning culture. Under head coach Greg Popovich, the Spurs have maintained their reputation as one of the league's most well-run franchises. Their development of young talent is second to none, and their system-oriented approach could provide Durant with the structure he needs to maximize his remaining prime years. From a basketball perspective, the fit makes tremendous sense. Durant's ability to score from anywhere on the court would complement Wembanyama's defensive presence and developing offensive game. The spacing that Durant provides would open up driving lanes for other players, while also giving Wembanyama more room to operate in the post. Defensively, having Wembanyama protecting the rim would allow Durant to focus more on offense while still contributing as a solid defender. The Spurs also have the assets necessary to make a trade happen. They have the assets to go out and do a Kevin Durant trade and still have a winning roster. With young players like Devin Vassell, Jeremy Sochan, and Harrison Barnes, along with multiple draft picks, the Spurs can construct a package that would appeal to Phoenix while still maintaining their core. However, the trade wouldn't be without risk for San Antonio. Durant's age and injury history raised legitimate concerns about his long-term durability. His recent performance and injury history are relevant to the trade discussions, as he missed 20 games in the 2023-24 season and 36 games in the 2022-23 campaign. At 37 years old during the 2025-26 season, there are questions about how much longer he can maintain his current level of play. The trade machine, how San Antonio can land KD. The Spurs have the assets to make a trade possible, including young players like Devin Vassell and Jeremy Sochan, and multiple draft picks, including the second overall pick in the 2025 NBA draft. However, the devil is in the details, and those details reveal both the promise and the challenges of making this trade a reality. Let's start with the fundamental challenge: salary matching. Durant's $54.7 million salary for the 2025-26 season requires careful salary matching, and the Spurs are currently over the salary cap, complicating the deal. The NBA's trade rules mandate that teams over the salary cap can only take back 125% of the salary they send out, which means the Spurs would need to send out approximately $43.8 million in salary to acquire Durant. The most commonly discussed trade package centers around Devin Vassell and Jeremy Sochan as the primary pieces. A proposed deal centers around Devin Vassell, $27 million salary for 2025-26, and Jeremy Sochan, $7.1 million. However, their combined Durant's salaries of $34.1 million fall short of what's needed to match Durant's contract, necessitating additional players or creative structuring. One potential solution involves including Harrison Barnes in the package. Barnes, who carries a significant salary, could help bridge the gap while also providing the Suns with a veteran presence. Social media reports suggest the trade package includes Devin Vassell, Harrison Barnes, the number 14 and number 38 picks in the 2025 NBA Draft, a 2027 first-round pick via Atlanta, and a 2029 first-rounder from San Antonio. The inclusion of multiple draft picks is crucial for several reasons. First, it provides the Suns with the future assets they need to rebuild around Devin Booker. Second, it demonstrates the Spurs' commitment to making the deal happen. The Spurs hold 8 draft picks between 2025 and 2031, including the second overall pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, giving them the ammunition necessary to construct a compelling package. But draft picks alone won't be enough to satisfy Phoenix's demands. The Suns are seeking a package comparable to what they sent to the Brooklyn Nets in 2023, which included Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, Jay Crowder, and multiple first-round picks. While Durant's age and shorter contract make it unlikely they'll receive an identical haul, the Suns still want meaningful young talent in return. This is where Devin Vassell becomes the key to the entire deal. The 24-year-old shooting guard has emerged as one of the league's most promising young players, averaging impressive numbers while showcasing the two-way ability that modern NBA teams covet. His inclusion in any Durant trade package would provide the Suns with a legitimate building block for their post-Durant future. Vassell's value extends beyond just his on-court production. He's under team control for several years, giving the Suns the kind of cost-controlled talent they'll need as they attempt to rebuild their roster. His ability to play multiple positions and contribute on both ends of the floor makes him an ideal fit for a team looking to establish a new identity. Jeremy Sochan represents another intriguing piece of the puzzle. The versatile forward has shown flashes of brilliance in his young career, displaying the kind of defensive intensity and basketball IQ that teams value. His $7.1 million salary helps with the financial aspects of the trade, while his potential upside provides the Suns with another young asset to develop. The draft pick component of the trade cannot be understated in its importance. The Spurs' second overall pick in the 2025 NBA Draft could be a valuable bargaining chip, potentially landing a blue-chip prospect that could accelerate the Suns' rebuild. In a draft that's considered deep with talent, that pick represents significant value. However, there are complications beyond just player personnel. The Spurs' salary cap situation for 2025 to 26 shows total allocations of $191.6 million, exceeding the projected cap of $154.6 million by $37 million. This over-the-cap status requires careful maneuvering to avoid triggering additional luxury tax penalties or running afoul of the league's new apron restrictions. The NBA's new collective bargaining agreement has introduced stricter penalties for teams that exceed certain salary thresholds, making financial planning even more critical. Teams that cross the second apron face restrictions on their ability to aggregate salaries in trades, use certain exceptions, and even trade first-round picks. These rules add another layer of complexity to any potential Durant trade.
Remember, Durant's at 54.7, so if you're Phoenix, who are still an apron team, and we'll see where they are when we get into the offseason, you are not allowed to exceed that amount. Certainly post-transactional salary as far as the amount of money you can take back in a deal here.
From Phoenix's perspective, the trade makes sense from multiple angles. The Suns' motivation to trade Durant appears to stem from their recent performance and roster needs. Getting younger players and draft picks would provide them with the flexibility to reshape their roster around Devin Booker while also gaining financial relief from Durant's massive contract. The timing of the trade is also crucial. With the NBA Draft scheduled for June 25th, 2025, teams have a natural deadline for finalizing any major moves. The draft provides an opportunity for teams to immediately utilize any acquired picks, adding another dimension to trade negotiations. But the Spurs face competition from other suitors. Reports indicate that 5 teams are seriously interested in Durant, including the Houston Rockets, Miami Heat, Minnesota Timberwolves, and New York Knicks. Each of these teams brings different assets and advantages to the table. The Houston Rockets, for example, have a treasure trove of draft picks and young players that could appeal to Phoenix.
When you look at from San Antonio or from Houston's perspective, certainly you've got 5 guys on rookie scale contracts, starting with Jabari Smith and ending with Cam Whitmore. Smith, Shepard, Thompson's not going anywhere. Eason, Whitmore are on rookie scale contracts.
The Miami Heat bring their championship pedigree and culture, though their asset pool is more limited.
Miami is certainly interesting. They have the 20th pick in the draft. They can trade 2 more picks at 30 and 32. If you were taking Bam and Tyler, out of the mix here, your next contracts are Andrew Wiggins, who's got 2 years left, player option, Terry Rozier, Duncan Robinson.
The Minnesota Timberwolves present an intriguing option with their mix of veteran talent and young assets.
But when you look at it, and in our trade guide, Dave McMenamin wrote, he has a Minnesota proposal, and actually that's the one I picked. Gobert, Dillingham, and DiVincenzo works as far as where you are. That's something when you get post July 6th and you figured out where you are financially, but where you are right now, those three work.
Despite this competition, the Spurs have several advantages in pursuing Durant. First, they're one of his preferred destinations, giving them significant leverage in negotiations. Multiple sources report that Durant has identified the San Antonio Spurs as one of his 3 preferred trade destinations. This preference could be the deciding factor if multiple teams submit similar offers. Second, the Spurs have the organizational stability and culture that Durant values. His previous stops in Brooklyn and Phoenix were marked by instability and dysfunction. The Spurs, under Greg Popovich's leadership, offer the kind of professional environment that could allow Durant to focus solely on basketball. Third, the opportunity to play alongside Victor Wembanyama represents something unique in Durant's career. Pairing Durant with these all-stars could create a potent offensive trio. The chance to mentor a generational talent while competing for championships could appeal to Durant's legacy concerns. However, there are legitimate concerns about whether the Spurs should make this trade at all. Some reports suggest the Spurs should only pursue Durant at a discounted price due to his age and expiring contract. The team's young core is developing nicely, and trading away key pieces for a potentially short-term rental could disrupt their long-term plans. The Spurs are reportedly interested in acquiring Durant, but only under specific conditions. The team's front office, led by general manager Brian Wright, has built a reputation for making calculated decisions that prioritize long-term success over short-term gains. The financial implications for San Antonio extend beyond just Durant's current contract. If traded, he becomes eligible for a 2-year extension worth up to $122 million, representing a significant long-term commitment. The Spurs would need to weigh the potential championship upside against the financial constraints such a deal would impose. There's also the question of fit within the Spurs system. Popovich has built his reputation on team-first basketball and player development. While Durant is undoubtedly talented, his integration into the Spurs culture would require careful management. Reports suggest past tensions, with Popovich reportedly telling Durant he must play unselfishly within the system. The negotiation process itself presents additional challenges. Reports from Hoops Hype note that the Suns are not particularly interested in the players the Spurs have offered as part of a Kevin Durant trade package. This suggests that the initial offers may not have met Phoenix's expectations, requiring the Spurs to sweeten their proposal. The leverage dynamics are complex. While Durant has expressed interest in San Antonio, he doesn't have a no-trade clause, meaning Phoenix ultimately controls his destination. The Phoenix Suns need to do what's best for their organization, regardless of Durant's preferences, though his contract situation does give him some influence.
I don't give a damn what Kevin Durant said on Draymond Green podcast. He don't have the luxury to dictate and say how he wants his career to end, right? The Phoenix Suns don't owe that to him. The Phoenix Suns need to do what's best for their organization. Kevin Durant haven't delivered a championship to the Phoenix Suns, so he can't dictate that.
As negotiations continue, both sides must balance competing interests. The Spurs want to acquire Durant without gutting their future, while the Suns need to maximize their return on one of the league's most valuable trade assets. The resolution of these competing interests will ultimately determine whether this blockbuster trade comes to fruition. The Dynasty Question: could Durant and Wemby create magic? The prospect of Kevin Durant joining Victor Wembanyama in San Antonio represents more than just another star player changing teams. It embodies the potential convergence of basketball greatness across generations, the marriage of proven championship pedigree with unlimited potential, and the possibility of creating something truly special in the modern NBA. But can this theoretical partnership actually deliver on its enormous promise? Or are we simply projecting our hopes onto what might be an ill-fated union? To understand the magnitude of what this pairing could achieve, we must first appreciate the unique qualities each player brings to the table. Durant, even at 36 years old, remains one of the most skilled offensive players the game has ever seen. His ability to score from anywhere on the court, combined with his basketball IQ and championship experience, provides immediate credibility to any championship pursuit. Durant's scoring ability and Wembanyama's Wembanyama's defensive prowess could create a formidable duo, offering the kind of two-way excellence that defines championship teams. Wembanyama, meanwhile, represents everything that's exciting about the future of basketball. His 7'4" frame, combined with guard-like skills, creates matchup nightmares that the league has never seen before. At 7'4", Wembanyama is a center with unprecedented versatility, combining elite shot blocking, rim protection, and perimeter skills. He's already a dominant force on both ends of the court, and he's only scratching the surface of his potential. The basketball fit between these two players is almost too perfect to believe. Durant's ability to stretch the floor would create enormous space for Wembanyama to operate in the paint, while Wembanyama's rim protection would allow Durant to take more risks defensively. Analysts have speculated that Durant's scoring gravity and playmaking would open up the floor for Wembanyama, while Wembanyama's defensive presence would allow Durant to focus more on offense. But beyond the X's and O's, there's something deeper at play here. The mutual respect between Durant and Wembanyama is well documented and genuine. Durant has praised Wembanyama as a unique player who will carve out his own lane, while Wembanyama has cited Durant as a role model. This foundation of respect could prove crucial in making any potential partnership successful.
I don't think anything's missing. I just think he needs to experience more in the NBA. I mean, it's still early for him, the second year. He's yet to be in the playoffs, which is an eye-opening experience for every player, especially his caliber. He'll learn a lot about himself and his team in that situation. So I just think he's on the right path of being one of the greatest we ever seen.
Durant's perspective on Wembanyama's development reveals the kind of mentorship that could define their relationship. The veteran understands that greatness requires time and experience, and his presence could accelerate Wembanyama's journey toward becoming a championship-caliber centerpiece. The timing of this potential partnership couldn't be better from multiple perspectives. For Durant, it represents perhaps his last realistic chance to add to his championship legacy while playing alongside a truly generational talent. At 37 years old, during the 2025-26 season, Durant is acutely aware that his championship window is closing rapidly. The opportunity to mentor Wembanyama while competing for titles could provide the perfect capstone to his legendary career. For Wembanyama, Durant's arrival would provide invaluable championship experience and veteran leadership at a crucial point in his development. While Wembanyama is already an incredible talent, having Durant as a teammate would accelerate his understanding of what it takes to win at the highest level. The lessons Durant could impart about handling pressure, dealing with media attention, and performing in clutch moments would be priceless for the young star. The organizational fit is equally compelling. The San Antonio Spurs have built their reputation on developing talent and creating winning cultures. Under Greg Popovich's leadership, the franchise has consistently maximized the potential of their players while maintaining championship standards. The Spurs' appeal lies in their young core, led by Victor Wembanyama, and their professional organization. However, not everyone is convinced that this partnership would work. Critics point to several potential concerns that could derail the Durant-Wembanyama experiment. The most obvious is Durant's age and injury history. Durant, who will turn 37 before the 2025-26 season, has only 1 year left on his contract, becoming a free agent in 2026. This short-term commitment, combined with his age, poses risks for the Spurs. There are also questions about how Durant would fit into the Spurs' system-oriented approach. Reports suggest past tensions, with Popovich reportedly telling Durant he must play unselfishly within the system, which Durant declined. This raises concerns about potential cultural clashes, especially as the Spurs focus on building around young stars like Wembanyama.
I look at Wemby and the Spurs as a team who's least likely to compete for a championship over the next 10 years next year, with or without Kevin Durant. And for Durant, he has 1 year left on his deal, and he's 37 years old, 36 years old, going to be 37.
Some analysts argue that the Spurs would be better served by maintaining their current trajectory rather than making a potentially disruptive trade. The team's young core is developing nicely, and adding a veteran superstar with a large ego could alter the chemistry that's been carefully cultivated.
I want everything built around Wemby, and I already have De'Aaron Fox. Look, I don't feel like when you say I don't like it, depends on what they gave up. What I could, like if they did this, I would be like, okay, I'm not in love with it. I don't think they're gonna win a championship next year or anything. But Durant could help them get into the playoffs and get Wemby some experience in playing winning basketball.
Despite these concerns, the potential upside of a Durant-Wembanyama partnership is enormous. Their combined skill sets could create a championship-caliber foundation that would be extremely difficult for opponents to match. Durant's proven ability to perform in clutch moments, combined with Wembanyama's defensive dominance and developing offensive game, would give the Spurs multiple ways to win games. The supporting cast in San Antonio also provides reasons for optimism. With Wembanyama, a generational talent, and De'Aaron Fox, a proven playmaker, Durant's scoring prowess and playoff experience could propel the Spurs into the Western Conference elite. The addition of Fox earlier in the season has already begun to transform the Spurs' offensive capabilities, and Durant's arrival would complete what could be one of the most formidable trios in the league.
De'Aaron is an all-world player, all-star player, can do everything on the floor offensively, pass the ball, athletic, can play over the rim, can shoot the three, So you add that to any team, man, that's gonna be a problem. So it's just a matter of figuring out how that on-court chemistry is going to work.
Durant's assessment of Fox reveals his understanding of how elite talent can complement each other. The veteran recognizes that championship teams are built on the foundation of multiple elite players who can impact winning in different ways. The depth behind this potential big three also matters significantly. Players like Stephon Castle, who has emerged as a promising rookie, and other young talents on the roster would benefit enormously from playing alongside established stars. The Spurs would also retain young assets like Stephon Castle and their draft picks, allowing them to build depth around their stars. From a competitive standpoint, the Western Conference landscape makes this partnership even more intriguing. The conference is loaded with talent, from the defending champions to emerging young teams. A Durant-Wembanyama-Fox trio would immediately elevate the Spurs into that upper echelon of contenders, providing them with the firepower necessary to compete with anyone. The psychological impact of such a move cannot be understated either. For Wembanyama, having Durant as a teammate would provide validation that the Spurs are serious about winning immediately. It would also accelerate his development in ways that simply aren't possible when you're the lone star on a developing team. The chance to mentor a generational talent while competing for championships could appeal to Durant's legacy concerns. But perhaps the most compelling argument for this partnership is what it could mean for basketball itself. The combination of Durant's refined skill and Wembanyama's revolutionary physical tools would create something the league has never seen before. Their games would become must-watch television, and their pursuit of a championship would captivate fans worldwide. The historical context adds another layer of intrigue. The Spurs have always been a franchise that maximizes the potential of their stars while maintaining a team-first culture. Tim Duncan's career provides a blueprint for how a generational big man can anchor a dynasty, and Durant's addition could help Wembanyama follow a similar path while accelerating the timeline. However, the comparison to previous Spurs dynasties also highlights the challenges this partnership would face. Those championship teams were built over time, with players developing chemistry and understanding through years of shared experiences. Durant and Wembanyama would need to develop that chemistry quickly, especially given Durant's age and contract situation. The financial implications of this partnership extend beyond just the immediate trade. If Durant signs a 2-year extension worth up to $122 million, the Spurs would be committing significant resources to a player approaching 40 years old. This would limit their flexibility in other areas and require careful roster construction to maximize their championship window. Yet the potential return on that investment could be extraordinary. A championship would validate the trade and provide Wembanyama with the kind of early success that could define his entire career. It would also cement Durant's legacy as a player capable of elevating any franchise to championship level. If you enjoyed watching this video, then go ahead and click on any of the cards on your screen for more.